Welcome, everyone. Dr. Anthony here, diving into the fascinating world of creativity, exploring the brilliant minds of Walt Disney and Beyoncé. And then we'll wrap up with a creative activity.
We'll be looking at all of this through the lens of J.P. Guilford's groundbreaking ideas on creativity.
Oh, Anthony, thanks for having me back to do a voiceover again. It's like you're sprinkling pixie dust on your lesson plan.
Well, Jenny, I do try to Disney-fy things a bit. Speaking of which, let's start with the creative genius behind the mouse that started it all, Walt Disney.
Oh, I just adore Disney. Did I ever tell you about the time I tried to make my own Mickey Mouse ears? Let's just say it didn't quite turn out as magical as I'd hoped.
I'm sure your creation was still irresistible, Jenny. But let's focus on Walt Disney's creativity through Guilford's perspective. Walt Disney was a prime example of what Guilford called a conceptual innovator. He had an extraordinary ability to combine unrelated elements to create something entirely new.
Oh, like when he put a mouse in a steamboat and made it whistle. That's pretty clever, isn't it?
Exactly, Jenny. Disney's creation of Steamboat Willie in 1928 was a perfect demonstration of Guilford's concept of divergent thinking. Disney combined animation, sound, and storytelling in a way that had never been done before. Guilford would have been impressed by Disney's fluency, his ability to generate numerous ideas quickly. Just think of all the characters and stories Disney created.
Oh, I know, there's Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Oh, and let's not forget about my personal favorite, Dumbo. I always did have a soft spot for those big ears.
You're absolutely right, Jenny. Disney's flexibility in adapting to new technologies, like adding color to cartoons or creating feature-length animated films, aligns perfectly with Guilford's theory.
And let's not forget about Disneyland. Now that's what I call thinking outside the box, or should I say outside the TV screen.
Indeed, Jenny. Disneyland was a prime example of what Guilford would call originality in creative thinking. Disney reimagined the concept of an amusement park, creating the world's first theme park. Now let's shimmy on over to our next creative powerhouse, Beyoncé.
Oh, Anthony, I once tried to do one of Beyoncé's dance routines. Let's just say I won't be joining her on stage anytime soon.
Well, Jenny, I'm sure you still put the B in Beyoncé. But let's look at how Queen Bey's creativity aligns with Guilford's ideas. Beyoncé's work exemplifies what Guilford called elaboration, the ability to expand and detail an idea. Just think about her visual albums like Lemonade or Black is King.
Oh, those are just spectacular. It's like she's painting with music and dance. And those costumes. I once tried to recreate one of her outfits for a Halloween party. Let's just say sequins are harder to work with than you'd think.
I'm sure you still looked flawless, Jenny. Beyoncé's ability to blend various art forms, music, dance, fashion, and visual storytelling, is a perfect example of Guilford's concept of sensitivity to problems. She identifies gaps in representation and fills them with her art.
And don't forget her surprise album drops. That's gotta be what Guilford meant by spontaneous flexibility, right?
Absolutely, Jenny. Beyoncé's innovative release strategies demonstrate her adaptive flexibility in the ever-changing music industry. She's constantly finding new ways to connect with her audience and express her creativity. Now let's move on to our creative activity. We're going to put Guilford's ideas into practice.
Oh, how exciting. Is it like that time I tried to teach my book club interpretive dance? That was an experience.
Well, Jenny, this might be slightly less novel, but equally creative. We're going to have a group present their creative activity inspired by Guilford's work. Often students will do the paperclip activity where they ask the class to come up with as many unique uses for it as possible in 5 minutes. That particular exercise tests fluency, flexibility, and originality, all key components of Guilford's theory of creativity.
Oh, I love this. I once used a paperclip to fix the strap on my favorite bra. Does that count as creative?
That's certainly original, Jenny. And yes, it absolutely counts. This activity the group presents will encourage thinking beyond the obvious. just like Guilford emphasized in his research on creativity. After the creative activity, we'll have time to discuss how it relates to Guilford's theories and why. It's a great collaboration. This collaborative aspect aligns with Guilford's belief that creativity can be fostered and developed.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It's like a creativity potluck where everyone brings their own unique dish of ideas to the table.
That's a deliciously apt metaphor, Jenny. And just like a potluck, the variety of ideas will demonstrate Guilford's point that creativity isn't a single trait, but a category of cognitive abilities. Well, folks, that wraps up our creative journey through the minds of Walt Disney and Beyoncé, all viewed through the lens of J.P. Guilford's groundbreaking ideas on creativity. Remember, whether you're building a magical kingdom or dropping a visual album, creativity is all about thinking differently and daring to innovate. Daring to...
And don't forget, even if your Mickey Mouse ears don't quite turn out right, or your Beyoncé dance moves are more oops than flawless, it's all part of the creative process.
Absolutely, Jenny. As Guilford would say, it's not about getting it right the first time, but about generating many ideas and being flexible in your thinking. Now let's get ready to unleash our inner Walt Disneys and Beyoncés.